What? What are you? Oh, please don't do this to me. Oh, wait, is this? See, let me just. Where's my Hey, you guys, come on in. Um, I went live a little bit early to give you guys a time to join in and come in the room because we're going to start promptly at 7. So just come on in. Take your time. You see, I've got our first couple of people coming on into the broadcast. Awesome. So we're just going to take just a few more minutes to allow you guys to trickle in, so to speak, to the workshop. But we are going to get started promptly at 7. So if you guys are here, let me know that you're here. Say something. Tap me some hearts. Let me know who you are. Say hi. So we're just giving you guys a couple more minutes to, hey, Crystal, thank you. Yeah, I needed to know somebody was here. Okay, hey, Sarah, thank you. I am going to add you. So I think there should be, I got my instructions here, Sarah. So forgive us, you guys. This is my first time chiming somebody else in. So be patient with us. This is why we went live a little bit early. Okay. Um, okay, Sarah, it says at the bottom of the screen, it should be a little icon of a person with another little person right below it. If you click that little icon, that should be the request to have you join to the broadcast. So, do you have that little icon there, Sarah? If you do, type in the comments and let me know. And I'm just putting my phone on mute here so we don't get interrupted here. Um, so again, Sarah, let me know if you have that little icon. I have instructions here. Oh, go ahead. It's okay. So I'm looking at the instruction and it says Allow viewers to send you a request to join your broadcast. I can see them at any point. I think I can do it. Bear with me. I'm doing a search for you. Okay, Sarah, really quickly, look me up. It looks like you have to be on my friends list for me to add you. So do a search, Facebook search really quick, Michelle N. Johnson. Send me a friend request right quick, and then I'll accept you, and then I'll be able to add you on. And again, you guys, I appreciate your patience. This is both of our first times doing this, so hang in there, but we're going to get it together. Okay, Sarah, so you're going to search for Michelle N. Make sure you put my middle initial in there. Got it. Awesome. All right, now I should be able to add you. Give me 1 sec. Okay, add viewers. Yes, I see you there. Okay. Thanks again, you guys, for your patience while we get this together. Okay, Sarah, so I see that you're now on the on my friends list, and I'm clicking to add you, and I don't know, it's not letting me do it. See if you can see that little icon on the bottom of your phone again. Now that you've added me, maybe refresh and see if it'll let you do it. And I'm refreshing on my end as well. And thanks, you guys that are still coming into the room. Come on in. We're going to get this together. Just be patient with us a little bit here. I'm clicking. I see your name here, and I'm clicking to have you added, Sarah, but I don't know why it's not allowing me to add you. No results found. That's weird. Okay. Jeez. Okay. Okay, so you guys, Sarah is checking. She's from a computer, and she doesn't see the little icon that will allow her to be added. When I click my icon to add her, I can see her name, but it's not letting me add her. So I apologize, you guys, for this. And again, this is our first time doing this, so please bear with us. Sarah. And we're following the directions here on how to add someone to the broadcast, and it is not cooperating with us. And of course, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Case in point being my tripod. I bought a brand new tripod for my cell phone to do my Facebook Lives, and this is only the second time that I've pulled it out to use it, maybe the third. And of course, it broke. So I am manually holding it in place with the help of a DVD. And now I can't get Sarah to connect. Which means that this workshop is just really going to be awesome because we keep having these issues here. So if you can just be patient, and I don't know what the issue is. We are following all the directions here, and it keeps telling me no, that Sarah isn't found, and she definitely is on my friends list. So not exactly sure what is happening here, but again, come on in. We've got an hour, so we definitely have time to get this together. But while Sarah is checking on her connection for her to get chimed in, I'm gonna go ahead and just get started on the intro. So welcome you guys to our online virtual workshop, Endometriosis Intimacy and You. The workshop was put together based off of a brochure that Sarah and I created together, and it is endometriosis, sex and you. But Facebook does not like the word sex, so in order to make sure that we could do it, we changed it to intimacy. So I'm gonna go ahead with the intro, and that should give us about 10 minutes, and then hopefully we can figure out how to bring Sarah in. So as you guys know, my name is Michelle N. Johnson. I am the founder of the Fighting Fiercely Endometriosis Awareness Movement and author of the book by the same name, Endometriosis, Fighting Fiercely, Unveiling the Unknown About Endometriosis. And most of you guys that have been following me for a while, you guys know that every year I do an endometriosis awareness workshop where we bring together various professionals from different disciplines to talk about the different effects that endometriosis has on women, physically, mentally, emotionally, and of course sexually. Statistics report that over 50% of women diagnosed with endometriosis have painful intercourse, obviously because a lot of the symptoms are contained to that pelvic and reproductive region. And so about 3 years ago, I reached out to Sarah. She owns a shop, an intimacy shop, on the city's north side where I was living at the time. And I had visited her shop a few times, and I was aware of the workshops that she had done in the community. And I reached out to Sarah and I asked her if she would come to speak to the panel one year to discuss the impacts that endometriosis can have on one's sex life, ultimately their relationship. And this is the third time that we're doing the workshop, and the 2 years before that we did it, it was really popular and it was a really big hit. But most of you guys know, due to my own, complications with endo the past couple of years, I haven't been able to do the workshop. And so a lot of ladies have been reaching out to me, asking me questions about that particular workshop. And so I decided that I would try my hand at doing it virtually. And so we put that together, and I reached out to Sarah, and she agreed. And if I can ever get, if we could ever get her connected to join the broadcast, she's going to come and present an online version of the workshop for you guys tonight. But I do just want to say a couple of housekeeping things. The workshop is going to go about an hour. Sarah's schedule is incredibly busy, so we thank you that. Yay! I think we got it, you guys. Sarah should be popping in shortly. My phone says that they are adding her now. So I'm going to finish up with the housekeeping rules, and then we're going to turn the workshop over to Sarah. Hey, Sarah!
Hi.
Can you? Okay, thank you. I appreciate your patience. I told you we would get it figured out. You guys that are tuned in, can you tap the screen and send a comment if you guys can see Sarah, and just let us know that you're here? So yeah, Sarah, while we were.
So if my phone falls down, I'll put it back up.
That's okay. Yeah. I have mine propped up with a DVD right now, so it's totally fine. So I'm gonna finish up the intro and turn it over to you because I know you're on a time constraint here. So okay, guys, just to finish up with the housekeeping. So Sarah has just about an hour, so we're gonna move through rather swiftly. So you guys send her a shout out to thank her for carving out this time out of her incredibly busy schedule to be here with us. That being said, we're gonna ask you guys if you could hold your questions till the end. We're gonna carve out a few minutes near the end for Q&A. And if Sarah has to run, you guys can send your questions to my inbox, my messenger, or to Sarah's messenger. And if we need to, we can kind of coordinate and maybe do like a part 2 if we can't get to all of the questions tonight. So if you can, ladies, please hold your questions to the end. So as I was saying, because of my own issues the past couple of years with endo, I wasn't able to do the expo. So Sarah and I thought it might be a good idea to try our hands at doing this virtually. And because she was such a big hit the last 2 years at the expo, she and I got together and we created this brochure, Endometriosis, Sex, and You. And it says tips and advice for keeping it sexy when your body is not feeling its best. And you ladies that have endometriosis know that intimacy can be very difficult because of the pain, the adhesions, the excessive bleeding all the time. And so, when I was writing my book, I thought it was a good idea to teach you guys about different ways of expressing intimacy that doesn't always involve physical contact or, as Sarah taught me, putting something inside of something else, which is what we tend to think of when we tend to think of sex. So we got together and we put together the brochure. And one of the things we talked about, and Sarah will touch on tonight, is different types of lubricants. Unfortunately, vaginal dryness is an issue with a lot of women who suffer with endometriosis and other forms of chronic pain. And so that can make any type of penetration more difficult. So she suggested some products that can make that a little bit easier. Also, what's really cool about some of the products that she have is that although they are designed to enhance pleasure and make sexy time more enjoyable, some of the products are actually designed to assist and to help with pelvic pain. So that's really cool. So you can enjoy yourself and also help to alleviate some of your pelvic pain there. So I don't want to get too much into it. It's about 12 after, and so I'm going to turn it over to you, Sarah. And then I'm just gonna let you have it, and then when you're done, just let me know, and we'll flip and do a little bit of Q&A if you have time.
Sure, sounds great. Thank you very much, Michelle, and thanks for bearing with me. I took Facebook off my phone to help my mental health, so I had to put it back on my phone to do this. So
okay, thank you.
So I think a good place to start always for me with just about anything, anytime you're talking about sexual activity or intimacy, is talking about lube.
Yep.
Lube is really important for folks kind of across the gender and sexuality spectrum, but it is really something that's going to make anybody who's having any vaginal issues or pelvic health issues or something have things be more comfortable. The vagina does a great job of self-lubricating a lot of the times, but a lot of times it doesn't, kind of for everybody who has one. And so one of the things that I really like to encourage people is to first normalize using lube. Use lube maybe when you're not in a sort of more intense situation. Get used to it being something that you normally bust out so that it becomes part of your healthy sex life and not to be seen quite as much as like a treatment for anything, because it makes any kind of touch feel better, in your genitals in particular, any kind of penetration feel better. So a couple of things to think about, especially for people who have vaginas, is you want to be sure you're using a lube that's going to be safe and comfortable in your body. A lot of the stuff that you can get at the grocery store are going to have ingredients that might not work with your particular chemistry. Water-based lubes are the most ubiquitous, and you're going to find them all kinds of places. I don't know what good it does for me to show you a tube, but I have to talk with my lube in my hand. If you try to lube a water-based lube and it has been irritating, I recommend looking for one that is pH balanced or glycerin-free, paraben-free, something that has fewer ingredients. Kind of like with food, I sort of have the same idea, like the fewer ingredients it is, the less likely you are to have a reaction to it. So look for things that have shorter ingredient lists. And if a lubricant does not have an ingredient list, run the other way. You don't know what's going to be in that, and you do not want that in your body under most circumstances. So with water-based lubes, I really like, there's a couple that we mentioned in the brochure that I really like. Sliquid's a really good one. This brand is called Sutil, and it's made by a lovely small mother and daughter company in Canada, and it's really gentle and nice. There's ones that are really aloe based for people who are really sensitive. So you kind of have to try a couple sometimes to find the one that works for you. Water-based lube is going to be great for any sort of internal or external activity. It's going to work with any sex toys, safer sex items, household objects, whatever it is you're using with it. So that's a good option. There are also people, though, who find that water-based lubes they just can't find one that works with their body chemistry. So silicone lube is a good vagina-safe alternative to water-based lubes. And silicone lubes will last a long, long time. Silicone lubes are waterproof, so if doing stuff in the bath or shower helps you relax and feel good or just is sexy, those silicone lubes are going to work really well there. Silicone lubes, they're more expensive in general, but they use a lot less of them because they don't dry out, so you don't have to reapply as often. They don't actually absorb into your body, so you're going to get less friction as you're using them. And they tend to be scent-free, odorless, so if there's going to be tasting involved at any time, silicone lubes are not going to usually interfere with that. And they're also multifaceted. You can use them to help defrizz your hair. You can use them as an anti-chafing. You can use them for a nice massage that doesn't have any scent. So if you're scent sensitive, it's a good massage option. So water-based is a good option. Silicone's a good option. There are also lubes on the market that are made of oil, and we don't recommend those for vagina.
Okay.
Mainly because, and this is an example, this is called boy butter. It makes it pretty obvious what it's for. Oil-based lubes are best used and probably only used for male masturbation. So you want to keep oil out of the vagina because it can clog it up and kind of make it self-cleaning not work so well. Oil is not compatible with safer sex products. If using condoms, latex condoms, it's not a good idea. So just go ahead and keep oil-based lubes for external use on penises and kind of away from vaginas. So those are the three major types of lubes you're going to find. And again, you do sometimes have to play around a little and try a couple of different ones before you find the one that works for your body. So that's, and we can talk about, and again, we can answer questions about those at the end. I totally recommend lube when you're touching yourself or you're having someone else touch you, even on your fingers if you're not going to go inside too. So just having something that is part of your everyday activity. Sometimes people use lubricant when they're not engaging in sexual activity. Sometimes the dryness of your body is just uncomfortable to walk. So it's not unheard of for someone to use lube just as kind of a general everyday comfort thing. So that's another option too, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, you want to look for a really gentle one in that circumstance. So what's
awesome. Yeah, so do you have the dilators with you? So first of all, let me just back up and say I'm taking notes here so that I can do a summary a little bit later. And I've heard you do this presentation obviously several times, but every time you do it, I learn something new. So in summary, water-based, the more natural, the better. No oil-based, right? Not for vaginas. Keep that closer to the penis. Yeah. But I would like for you to talk about the dilators if you have them, because a lot of ladies take what's called pelvic floor therapy, and sometimes the pelvic floor therapist will use the dilators to help them to kind of loosen up those walls, the muscles and the ligaments down there. And just walk them through how it can be both used to help the pelvic pain, but it can also be pleasurable and enjoyable for them. Though that was one of my favorite ones. Kind of does a little double duty.
Okay. And dilators are something that for a real long time you would get a prescription for from your physician or something, and they would be super ugly and super expensive. They would do what they're supposed to do, but there wasn't any talk of pleasure. And so what's been really nice to see is in the past couple of years, these kind of products have kind of shifted into this realm of the sex toy store. So you're able to purchase these products, one, way more affordably under most circumstances, but also they're kind of rebranded, not as so much as medical devices, but as toys. And so I think a lot of times when you're dealing with pain, granted, if you're in pain, don't have sex, right? Like don't do things that but if you want to kind of work through it or deal with it, sometimes if you can reframe it as something fun as opposed to something that's like a treatment, it can help people kind of enjoy it a little bit more. So we carry a bunch of different vaginal dilators at the store, and there's a bunch of different ones in the market. Some of them are very simple in that they're just silicone dilators that come. These have a little bit of a shape angle to them, and they have a finger hole. So this is actually kind of helps if you have, especially if you have any trouble gripping. And they usually come in graduated sizes. There's some that come in like a set of 3. These are, we're just adding these to our collection. They come in a set of 3. We have some that come in a set of, I think, 6. So it kind of depends on, and there's some that you can buy individually. So it kind of depends on, do you just need one? Do you want, are you working up to some goal? What is your pelvic, what, if you have a therapist or a physician, what are they recommending? And these are very simple in and of themselves. Although another trick with these too is a lot of little vibrators fit right in here. So you could make this a vibrating one. And the vibration can, so the vibration can actually help someone relax. And so sometimes first of all, you want to be using lube with all these, but also if you add a vibrator to it, or if you add external clitoral stimulation while you're using your dilator, which seems for some people kind of like, it takes it out of the medical realm, that can make it more pleasurable and your body can relax a little bit more. We also have one that's super popular that is it's a vibrator. So this part is a vibrator, and then it has graduated sizes that you add to them. So these are not flexible. This is hard plastic, so it does not flexible. So that's something to think about it for some people. But because it's hard plastic, it's super, once you put lube on it, it doesn't have a lot of friction. So if friction at all is uncomfortable, this is going to have less friction, and it vibrates, which is really great for some people because, again, that vibration can help some people really kind of relax and have this be more comfortable. And then you can kind of, if you want to, work your way up. And this one, compared to a lot of them, the big one on this one is a lot bigger than a lot of the sets that they have. So this is a good option too for someone who might be working towards having a human part of a body inside of them, because this is a little bit more penis-y side, actually pretty big for penis. So that's another dilator that a lot of people really like, just because it has that vibration component to it. And then there's people who just use a small sex toy. So we have a lot of slender vibrators and slender dildos, and you can find one that suits you aesthetically, and you can find one that suits you on your price range, and that suits you on what you're looking for as far as size is concerned. And then you can have something that is, again, more of a fun toy thing that can also help with some people with penetration.
So, Sarah, with the silicone ones that you had, the smaller ones you mentioned, you said that they were good for gripping. Did you mean gripping with your hands, or gripping like if you're doing Kegels or something?
Right here is good for your fingers.
Gotcha.
Somebody, like, sometimes if you have arthritis or you have trouble holding on to things, having something that's easier. But any of these, when you're doing Kegel exercises, having anything in your vagina can help you focus where you're doing your squeezes. So any of these, even though they're not designed for that purpose, you could certainly use that for that purpose as well.
Okay, awesome. Now, the last time when we did the presentation in person, you talked about a couple of products that the ladies could use for their guys, or the guys could use for the ladies, like when any type of penetration is just not an option. We talked about like doing some maybe manual stimulation things, and the one I call it the baseball glove, where you kind of hook it and it's got the little spiky things for the guy. That was one of my favorites, that either he could use or she could use with him. Can you talk about that one for a little bit?
Well, sure. I think one thing to think about, just kind of backing up a little bit, is when we talk about intimacy or sex, we do have this our culture has this very like sex is a penis and a vagina kind of theory. And I think that it's really good for all of us, again, regardless of what's going on with our bodies, to expand our idea of what sex and what intimacy is, so that your body, if your pelvic region or whatever is not working the way you want it to, and it's uncomfortable, you can still have intimacy, you can still have sex with somebody without having penetrative sex, without having your genital area touched, if that's not what's good for you. But you can still get a lot out of sex with somebody else. If you have a partner who's a penis, and you want to kind of give them a special treat, so you're just like, my body is kind of off limits today, but I'm feeling like I want to like have some intimacy and some sex with you, let's see what we can do. Some toys, and also sometimes bringing a toy into it, kind of, it sort of, again, it reframes it. And so instead of being like, oh, well, I guess I'll settle for a hand job, although if someone says that to you, they're a jerk. But if someone's thinking like, I guess I'll just settle for a hand job, if you bring a toy into it, you can be elevating it to something that's even like, oh, but this is a whole new fun thing. It's not just so this is something we call the Blue Valentine. It actually comes in what looks like a pill case, which I think is pretty funny. And it's a stretchy sleeve. On the inside, it has ridges. We do have some that are, have different textures inside. And basically, you put lube in it because otherwise it's going to really be a little too much friction on most people. And you can slide it up and down a penis. You can do a really nice, loving, fun hand job. Look your partner in their eye, give them connection, kiss them, fondle other parts of their body. And I think focusing on their pleasure can feel really good for you, and it can be a nice thing to do for your partner just anytime. There are also some toys for penises that are a little bit more involved, which can be something that you could, even if you're just like, you know what, I'm going to do this tonight. Here, take your friend with you, and I'll, later. So there's other things there's a lot of stuff on the market made to like put a penis into for pleasure. But some of the things they're doing now are really cool. Like this one, you open it up and it has like all these different chambers.
Oh,
like
wow. I never saw that before.
This is by a company called Tenga. And just like, vibrators, there's nothing a human can do to replicate a vibrator. There's nothing a human can do to really replicate this. So you can kind of put this on its own plane of existence, as opposed to like, this is replacing something, or this is instead of something. This is an addition to what we already have. And this is a sensation that feels good on my body or whatever. And I think that if we can kind of wrap our hands around that, we really expand what we're thinking of, what we can do that feels good on our bodies and feels like intimacy. I mean, a lot of sex is a lot about pleasure, but it's also a lot about that connection with the person that you're making out with. And so if you can find ways to have that pleasure that doesn't cause you pain, I think it can help keep the relationship a little bit stronger.
Absolutely.
I also have some toys that feel good on clitorises and vulvas, but don't require penetration, which also can feel like if penetration is just kind of your no-go, but everything else is feeling okay. External stimulation can feel really good. Again, lubed up fingers can feel great. But vibrators can feel, they feel like nothing any human can do to you. This is a little tangled. But this is a really simple bullet vibrator. Oh, this one's a little more complicated too. But a bullet vibrator, oh no, see, I knew that would happen.
That's okay. There you go. You're back. Yeah.
Literally balancing this on a vibrator, which is maybe not the best option, but that's all I got in here. Okay.
That's okay. You're good.
Okay. That is such a good thing going. Oh wait, let me try balancing on a penis. Okay. Well, I can do this too. So
you're back.
Bullet style vibrators are great for external stimulation. They're really good for using for clitoral stimulation, and you can get a lot of pleasure and sensation without having to have any penetrative sex. It also, that vibration can help, again, relax somebody, and maybe you're not feeling up to the penetration, and then I'm sorry, I gotta give up on that. And then
That's
you
okay.
Have an orgasm from your vibrator, and all of a sudden your body's relaxed and ready for maybe a little bit more action than you originally planned for. So it can kind of be a starter. It can kind of be a finisher. It can also just be something you do for yourself to, give yourself pleasure, but something your partner can use with you. Something like this actually has 2 vibrators on it, and you could, in theory, have you be using one and your partner can use one. They feel great on penises. They can be great on vulvas. So there's a lot of things you can do with something like that, and really help just, have an orgasm in a way that might be new and different, but that still feels really good for your body.
Sarah, can you talk about, when we talk about redefining intimacy and restructuring that and having people rethink what that means for them, and what that includes and what that entails. One of the things that I really liked that you talked about was just ways of reimagining intimacy that has nothing to do with penises or vaginas or vulvas. Like there was a game that you had where I think where like they like to pull the questions out of the box and then they read them and they had to do just different activities. Can you talk a little bit about different ways of creating and facilitating that intimacy that have nothing to do with, body parts per se? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things out there that are in my world, in the sex toy world, that are designed as, they're games. They're meant to be funny, and you might look at them originally and be like, that seems cheesy. Like, that seems like a weird little thing. I'm, 40 years old or whatever. I don't need a game to teach me how to have sex. But a lot of the games and stuff like that, you can kind of adjust them to what your limits are for that, your body limits are. Or at the very least, you can decide sort of in the moment if you're up for something. But they help to refrain what sex is. Refrain what sex is. And they help to give you an intro to sensations that aren't necessarily genital focused. So a lot of them are sort of focused on what people call foreplay. I just like to kind of call play. Like Dirty Dice, these are, a silly $6 purchase, but each dice has somewhere to kiss and something to do, and then the other one has something to do it on. So you're maybe forced to kiss a part of not forced, but encouraged to kiss a part of your partner's body that you would normally kiss, and that a partner maybe didn't know was sexy before, and now you find out that your elbow has had a lot of sensation, and who knew?
Yeah.
So it's a thoughtful part in there. So I think that's a good idea. I think getting back to, making out, right? Like if you have a partner, right, you've been in a sexual relationship with them for a while, you know what to do. You go from A to B to C and, then C. And I think if you say to your partner, like, okay, we're not going to have penetrative sex tonight. We're going to keep our clothes on until we can't stand it anymore. You're keeping your body sort of closed off, which is, if you're looking for that, what could be helpful. But you're also, making out, kissing somebody is like kind of the most intimate form of.
Yeah, really.
Yes, it's very intimate to have someone's body part inside your vagina, but kissing, really, it's like it's very intimate. And I think finding new ways to kind of like almost go back to being like a teenager. That sounds wrong, but
I know what you mean, like
having a game.
Yeah, like those first couple of months when you're together and everything's all giddy and butterflies in your stomach and you sneak in kisses in the park or on the train or whatever. And
it's hard to do that. I mean, it's hard. It's not like it's super easy and it can be awkward, but I think that that's another good way to kind of, again, sort of go back to something that's sexy but not taxing on your body. Eating intimate meals, like having a sexy dinner where stuff is kind of messy, or you're having things like fondue, which you can get, like anything that kind of brings the sensuality back and doesn't focus as much just on like orgasm or penetration. Right. So intimacy and sensuality, our bodies are huge, right? Compared to just our genitals. And there's so much places on our body that can feel really good. I love massage candles. So a candle that you light for a little while and then you pour the warm massage oil on your partner and rub it in with your hands or your body. You're going to get on top of them, slide around them, or vice versa. Is also kind of a nice way to sort of force you to touch all different kinds of parts of someone's body, or have someone, forcing is also not the right word, but encourage.
Yes.
While still, maintaining something sexy.
Okay, awesome. And in the brochure, you mentioned things like taking a bubble bath. You talk about using doing sensual massages with the oil. And I like this one here. You say put a blindfold on your partner and devote some time to finding new pleasure spots on their body. I think that is really, really cool. Do you have any other? With the blindfold and also with the feathers that you have there. I think those could be really, really neat. Really quickly, do you have any, I just want to let them know. So the last time that we did this in person, I actually picked up a really good book from you. This one is called The Ultimate Guide to Sex and Disability for all of us who live with disabilities, chronic pain, and illness. And although it was a little bit embarrassing, I actually picked up a copy for my dad as well. He's a prostate cancer survivor, and so with him, dealing with that and me having endometriosis, it's two, different genders, obviously, but same, similar area, similar problems. And I did find this book to be an excellent, excellent resource. And there were like little drawings, little illustrations in terms of like positions and things that you can do. But in terms of the education side, do you have any recommendations? I know you guys have a library there, of maybe some books or some guides or some additional resources that might be helpful in that way.
There's a book that I love. I was just looking this up online. That's called When Sex Hurts. It's
Okay.
definitely geared towards people with vaginas. When Sex Hurts: A Woman's Guide to Banishing Sexual Pain, and I read it a while ago when it came out, but its approach, I think, is just really honest and has a lot of very good, helpful tips. And it really just focuses on like what it's like to have your vagina, your vulva be painful when it's touched. So I think that is definitely one that I recommend a lot. We also have a lot of resources on other types of sex, right? So maybe this is a great opportunity to explore kink, something that doesn't have to involve genitals and often doesn't. Maybe this is a good opportunity to really hone your blowjob skills. Like there's all learn about and get down on. And so we have a good range of both instructional books and movies, as well as workshops in the store that can help kind of get you interested in other types of sex than P and V, as I like to call it.
Okay, great, great, great. So it's just about 7:40, and I know you have to leave soon. So I'm gonna ask any of the viewers here, do you guys have any questions for Sarah? Any questions about any of the products or the resources that she talked about tonight, or just any questions about anything having to do with intimacy that she may be able to answer for you guys? I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to type your questions in if you have any. And in the meantime, I'll tell you guys, if you want to connect with Sarah, in the description of the video here is her website, www.earlytobed with a two, early2bed.com, and there she has a full array of all of her toys, her accessories, even info on different workshops that she hosts. Her Facebook page link, www.facebook.com/earlytobed, again early with the two. You can connect with her there. If you don't feel comfortable asking here in the public forum, you can inbox her there to talk about that. And also, speaking of resources, so we talked about The Ultimate Guide to Sex and Disability, and also, you guys, my book, Fighting Fiercely, Unveiling the Unknown About Endometriosis. There is an entire chapter in here dedicated to exactly what Sarah and I have been discussing tonight, which is what I like to call loving outside of the box. It talks about different ways to facilitate intimacy when physical penetration is either not possible, or if it's just not you want to do it and you can't, or if it's just too painful. So there are ways to do that doesn't involve one body part going into another body part. And also, you guys, if you want to pick up the brochure, Endometriosis, Sex and You guys can send me an email at fightingfiercely@gmail.com. They're free of charge. Just make sure that you provide your complete mailing address so we can get these out to you. And I believe that if you're on the north side in the area, I think Sarah has some in her shop as well. You can swing by. Sarah, can you give them the address to your shop really quickly?
5044 North Clark. So it's Clark Street, just about 2 blocks south of Foster.
South of Foster. Awesome. Any questions, you guys, before we kind of wind down and wrap it up? And again, you can inbox me, you can inbox Sarah. And again, if you don't feel comfortable asking here, just inbox us and one of us will get back to you. So we're just going to take a couple minutes here for questions. And Sarah, if we don't have any questions, if there's any last minute things that you want to add before you have to take off here, the floor is yours.
You know, the one thing I just always like to add is that sex is an ever expanding thing, and that we, again, our bodies have an amazing capacity for pleasure that's far beyond what just our genitals provide, and that I really think we should all work to have the most rich sex and intimacy life we can by keeping an open mind about new things and new ideas and new pleasures.
Yeah, I like that, having an open mind. And when you are diagnosed with endometriosis or any other type of chronic pain, it almost forces you to have an open mind because it changes your body and it changes your life so much. And certain things that you maybe loved to do or could do really well before, you might not be able to do. And so, like you said, it encourages you and inspires you and like not forces you, but kind of gives you that gentle nudge to open your mind and expand, because if you don't, you risk losing, that part, and that we definitely don't want to do that. Sarah, Alicia is watching. She chimed in. She said, great info, ladies. Thank you. So thank you, Alicia, for watching. We don't have any questions, Sarah. So yeah, so I've given all the contact information. So again, ladies, look Sarah up on Facebook. Feel free to visit her website. And again, if you want to ask her questions more privately, please feel free to inbox her. If you want to pick up the brochure, email me, fightingfiercely@gmail.com. Stop by Sarah's shop. She's at 4044
5044.
5044 North Clark, 5044 North Clark here in the city. My book is available at fightingfiercely.com and also on Amazon. And swing by Sarah's shop to visit her library. They have some great, not only books, but they have videos that can help you guys out, because just because you have endometriosis, it doesn't mean that you have to lose your femininity. You don't have to lose your sexuality. You just have to be a little creative and think outside the box a little bit. So Sarah, it's just about 7:45, and I know you've got to take off, but it looks like we're winding down here. It doesn't look like we have any questions on the floor. So unless you have any final parting words, thank you so much. I know that this month was crazy busy for you. And I think now that we know how to connect and chime in, I think this is something, right? I think this is something we can definitely do again in the future. So thank you so much for joining us this evening and helping to contribute to endometriosis for the month of March. And I'll be talking to you, so I'm going to let you go ahead and take off. And thank you guys for tuning in. We have got 5 more days of endometriosis awareness, so watch your live streams, your Instagrams. I'll be continuing to bring you great information. So keep fighting fiercely, ladies. Mwah. Thank you, Sarah. You guys have a good night.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in.